Hello, my name is Vekrin, and I am a Earth Angel, chosen one from heaven, star seed, light worker, as some people are calling us. Essentially, this is my story. So this is my story, my truth. Essentially, I'm an empath, and I'm like psychic. Essentially, I'm not like, I am basically psychic. So essentially I can read people, so everyone can see my emotions on my face, and it's very difficult for me to hide how I feel, but essentially I can see through everyone. So I can basically see through anyone and see into their soul, heart and soul. Essentially, I always could see through reality. And essentially I knew that for a long time that this world is controlled by a massive Illuminati cult of Kabbalists that control all governments. And essentially, it's like the Vatican and all these royal families and these billionaire, trillionaire families. Essentially, they're networking, and they're doing things behind the scenes to bind humanity. And it's something that I could always see clearly, and I was always a threat. So essentially, it's like people give off energy, and chosen ones, I guess we give off a bigger amount of energy or something. So essentially the elites, they essentially could find out who these chosen ones were. And essentially they signed people to manage them and keep them low. And tried to break them emotionally, tried to break them mentally, tried to keep them financially poor. And essentially my whole life I've struggled. I've been gang stalked my whole life by spiritual gang stalking, by the government, because when I was I'm 35 now, but when I was in my 20s, I started talking online about things I would see, and I think that kind of targeted me and put like a flag on me. They flagged me essentially. And I've always been a hard worker, but I started noticing a few years ago that it was really hard for me to find new work. Essentially, I feel like the system's been like pushing me in a corner, essentially. Essentially, I was raised by a natural witch. So essentially, my mother essentially was born on, she's a natural witch. So she was born on Halloween. I'm not even kidding you. October 31st. And essentially, this woman is a narcissist. And I was raised by this narcissist, and I literally lived with her for 35 years. I literally just left living with this narcissist. And essentially, I was under such heavy brainwashing and mind control and manipulation. I literally thought she loved me. My mother, she never loved me, and she never will love me. No one ever loved me. And essentially, my sister and my mother, they worked together to spiritually sacrifice me. Because essentially, my mother's a witch. And essentially, this society is a society of witches, warlocks, and wizards. And essentially, they have knowledge of energy manipulation. And essentially, all of us are giving off energy. And essentially, it's connected to our posture and our body. And essentially, when you know about how our body's connected to reality, and that how you feel is connected to what you attract, and how your physical well-being is connected to how you feel, right? So if how you feel shit, then you're gonna attract shit. So when you have this knowledge, then you realize that you can control and manipulate other people. So essentially, this is what this society is. It's essentially a society of people who are manipulating other people. So essentially, my mother and my sister, essentially, how it works in society is that the man is not in control. In the standard way of how God intended, man was supposed to be in charge. But essentially, the devil, he inverts everything. So now he made it so that the woman is in charge. Essentially, the woman, the female, essentially, is the one who is controlling energetically behind the scenes. And essentially, my family black sheeped me, essentially scapegoated me, targeted me, attacked me, and put me down. And essentially, my sister and everyone tried to break me and isolate me, never include me in their life, because essentially my sister was jealous of my energy and my light. And essentially, when I was younger, my sister, she actually did some kind of like ritual to actually attach an energetic cord to me. It was like her and her friend, and also one time it was just her and her own. Remember when I was a kid, she just did something like, it was like I don't want to talk about it really, but it has to do with, it's like a sexual act, but essentially it wasn't like a full-on sexual act, but essentially it was like a type of sexual act. And essentially what it does is attaches an energetic cord to you. And essentially these people in society, they know how to attach energetic cords to you, to people. And they know how to control people. And essentially my whole life I was essentially, how should I say, I was under a generational curse. So I was never meant to succeed in life unless I broke this generational curse. And I recently believe I have broken this curse with the help of God. Essentially, I was raised by a narcissist who never loved me. And essentially, a narcissist is actually an energy vampire. Someone who essentially is controlled by a demon. They're empty shelled people. And if you study narcissists, you'll notice that they actually have an affinity for consuming. They like to consume drugs. They like to consume sex. They like attention. They like love. They like food. They like drugs, sex, alcohol. They just consume, but it's never enough for them because they're not spiritual beings. They're actually very physical, very material. They're not anything out about the spiritual realm. So essentially, they're essentially demons that are consuming energy. And essentially, my mother was a narcissist, a full-on covert narcissist. And essentially, she would always complain to people. Oh, my life is so hard. I raised these two twins alone, and I had to run away from an evil, abusive father and raise these two kids with nothing. Essentially, this demon was designed to isolate me. Essentially, always we were moving around, life was always chaotic. I was always being dragged around with my mother and my sister to go do errands, shopping and stuff like that, to save money. And my mother had always struggled with depression, but essentially I believe strongly that depression is something to do with spiritual. It's something to do with demons essentially fucking around with your energy and your mind. And essentially my whole life, this evil, energetic bitch parasite, my mother, would do stuff to trigger me, would manipulate my thoughts, my emotions, and essentially her and my sister broke me down. Essentially, I was like a broken shell of my former self. I couldn't even, they were getting me to doubt everything about myself, everything about my experiences, my memories. Essentially, yeah, they're essentially doing a lot of tactics. So I'll just read out quickly some tactics that these narcissists, they do to you, but essentially they do stuff like manipulation tactics like gaslighting. So making you doubt your own memory, perception, sanity, denying events, happenings, twisting facts. That never happened. You're imagining things. They project shitty energy onto you. So they're projecting all this shitty energy and making me feel like, oh, I'm a loser, I'm lazy, I'm unambitious, that I'm a failure. And essentially they do this to keep you down and broken because essentially they don't love you. They don't love you. And essentially I only broke free because when I started seeking God, he taught me what love was. And then I started seeing that these people didn't love me. And essentially, yeah, my sister and my mother, they betrayed me. Essentially, my sister is evil and my mother is evil. And they would do stuff like this, like projecting, ganging up on me, smear campaigns. So they spread rumors about how, oh, you're such a shitty person, blame shifting, silent treatment, invalidating. That was one of the biggest ones. Dismissing everything that happened to me, everything about my feelings, experiences, anything I did good. When I became a martial arts instructor in the next city, teaching hundreds of kids and uplifting their confidence, building them up and teaching them fucking badass martial arts classes. They didn't give a shit. They didn't care about nothing like that. They would never talk about nothing that I did good. They would say, oh, you're so sensitive. Because as an empath, you're highly sensitive. I'm literally picking up people's energy. I can literally feel, oh, this person feels like that. This person feels like this. So this is why empaths we don't like to be around a lot of people because we are highly sensitive to energy. And they did stuff to control and abuse me, like isolation, weaponized incompetence. So my mother would act like, oh, she's so incompetent that she would start piling stuff on top of me. So essentially, I was essentially having to grow up quickly. And yeah, a narcissist is like someone who's trying to trigger you, someone's trying to torture you mentally. And they like to see energy vampire narcissists, they get something called supply. So they like to get praise or energy from you doing stuff, or they like to torture you. So she would torture me a lot. Essentially, I was being isolated, and essentially it was hard for me to make friends. It was hard for me to have love connections, and I was always alone, isolated in my room, and on the computer, playing video games, studying about the world from my own, private. But this demon would love to see me suffering, crying, and enjoy to see me low, in a low point. Yeah, and essentially, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to fucking expose, because I'm seeing patterns of other people, other families. And I've seen it, I'm remembering in my past too. Like, example, my cousin, this happened with him. Or like my other cousin in Costa Rica. Or a family friend. What happens is the same thing. There's a family, there's kids. One kid is shadow, so they're gonna go evil. One kid is good, they're gonna go good. The whole family, black sheep's the good kid. They target them. They make them feel they're too different, they're weird, they're strange, they never connect with them. They can't connect with them because God is light. Darkness will never comprehend the shadow. And then, again, when I started learning about God, I learned about unconditional love, and I started seeing these people never loved me. And essentially, okay, so in the family dynamic, there's light and shadow. So they start ganging up on the light, and they start torturing them. Hello. And they start straight up breaking that person down. Essentially, that family member that never got loved, they never got love. So they start turning to drugs, or they start seeking love externally from somewhere else. When in reality, you have to go within and love yourself from within. Then you can love others, and then you can attract love to you. But straight up, they would torture me. And then, okay, in the family, okay, so the child, they start doing drugs, and then they start succumbing to the drugs and going homeless. And essentially they suicide at the end. So this is a common thing I've noticed, and it was supposed to happen to me. I think I broke this fucking generational curse, because I'm a fucking generational curse breaker. And I'm sorry, I don't want to come off as aggressive or anything. I mean, I have a very strong light and shadow. I'm very balanced. But this is just my story. I want to tell my story. Yeah, they do. She would do guilt tripping. So this energy vampire would essentially make me feel like I'm not, like her life is so hard and shitty that me, the son, has not done enough to help her in her life. So essentially, it was always like a heavy air, an atmosphere of I'm a failure in the house. And I'd always feel very depressed and ashamed. And it was like this demon would keep you in a mental cycle, a mental loop of, they would trigger me. They would see I'm depressed, say something to make me angry, trigger me. I would get angry, yell at her. Then she would make me feel guilty about what a shitty son I am, and then I would feel shame. So it was a cycle. Anger, shame, guilt, repeat. Anger, shame, guilt, repeat. It was a cycle. So I'm just gonna continue, because it has to be in separate parts of 15 minutes approximately.